Shelly Lubben is a former prostitute and pornography actress from California who appeared in 30 hardcore films. Shelly's exposure to sex began at 9 years old when she was sexually abused by two older friends. Her relationship with her parents was rocky, and as a result of rebellious behavior in her teens, Shelly's parents kicked her out of the house when she was 18. With a small bag of clothes and very little money, Shelly was unsure of where to go.
I ended up at the San Fernando Valley in California, which is the porn capital of the world, and I had no idea. I sat on that curb, homeless and hungry, for a couple days, just crying my eyes out. And this man approached me and saw me crying, and he just started saying, "What happened, honey?" You know, and I just started crying and thinking, maybe Jesus has come to rescue me with this nice man, you know, and he just held me and let me cry. And it was the first time an older man had really held me affectionately. And then he slowly lured me in and suggested that there was a nice man across the street who saw me and thinks I'm pretty, and he could get me some money if I would make love to this man. And I was, hey, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a prostitute, you know. And then just for a second, I just was like, you know what? A voice told me, God doesn't care. Your parents don't care. And I thought, yeah, why should I care? And so I sold myself for $35 into the sex industry. I was in shock what was happening to me, and you just kind of go numb and check out. And I just started selling myself to anyone I could find on the street, just literally going into mechanic shops, trying to survive, offering sex acts for like $50. I mean, I was in shock. I had no idea how I was going to eat.
For the next year, Shelly worked as a prostitute, learning how to lie and to manipulate men for every last dollar. But Shelly was faced with a life-changing decision when one client left her pregnant.
I was like beside myself. What am I going to do? I'm living in a hotel, a little hotel in downtown Los Angeles, and I just kept looking at my stomach like, you know, what am I going to do? And I thought, you know, a voice comes in, well, you could probably have an abortion, but I knew in my heart I could never kill my child. It was by the grace of God, but I just knew there's just no way I can do that. And I couldn't take another human life. I decided I was going to get a job as a stripper, and I was going to keep my baby, and I was going to support my baby. After I had my baby, I said, you know, I'm never ever going back to prostitution ever again. So I went back to stripping at another club. You know, you have to move around a lot in the sex industry to survive because you become old meat after a couple months. And so I kept going to different clubs, and then I became so desperate for money that I actually sold breast milk in the men's coffee club. This customer says, why don't you give me some breast milk, because breast milk's sweet in my coffee. And I was like, oh, you know, $20, sure. So I had an angle that none of the other girls had. It's really sad, how pathetic, how low I had to go just to survive.
When we return, Shelly's will to survive leads her to seek work in the darkest of places, the porn industry.
Look around you. We're surrounded by people who courageously face difficult obstacles life has thrown in their paths. Tune in each week to meet people who show there are positive, godly solutions to tough, critical situations. This Emmy Award-winning show tackles challenging life issues such as abortion, stem cell research, and adoption, and shows every human life is valuable and precious. Join us for inspiring stories of people facing life head-on.
For the next 6 years, Shelly juggled work as a stripper and prostitute to support herself and her daughter. She was constantly threatened by men and developed an addiction to drugs and alcohol. One night while working at a strip club, Shelly got an offer that seemed like an easy way out of the exhausting and dangerous lifestyle she was living.
So one night I was in a strip club dancing, and a porn star came in the club and said, hey man, you're a hot dancer. You know, you'd be awesome in porn. And I'm like, porn? And she says, well, you'll make like $2,000 a movie, and it's legal. And I went, legal? That's pretty good for someone who's been ditching the cops for 6 years for prostitution. I went legal. I said, well, is it safe? You know, because you don't use condoms in porn. She goes, of course, we're the cleanest people in the world. We get a test every 30 days for our AIDS test. So I went, you know, okay, I guess I'll have to do this. If I can just work one movie, I won't have to dance every night for 8 hours and be so tired trying to take care of a baby. But porn was a rude awakening for me. It was way worse than anything I'd experienced in the sex industry. It's just Satan's final frontier.
Porn is a multi-billion-dollar industry that continues to permeate households in today's society. Pure Hope is one group trying to combat the hold the porn industry has on today's culture. Its mission is to expose the truth and provide solutions for our sexualized culture. I sat down with Vice President Noel Boucher to discuss the implications of increased sexual content on today's youth and families.
There's no question that we are living in a hypersexualized environment, and I don't think anyone disagrees with that. We are living in what some people call a pornified age. Right now, it's estimated that the average young person is exposed to 14,000 sexualized images and messages a year through the media. That's everything from what's on broadcast television, to cable, to films, to music, pornography on the internet, images on the internet. And when you have things happening, like 90% of young people before the age of 18 being exposed to pornography, you have unbelievable imagery that is shaping your mind and how you think about the subject of what sex is, how it's to be used, and then, ergo, your very identity as a human being.
We hear the term sex industry. Could you define that for us?
Basically, though, we have a global sex industry. We define it as every form of commercial sex, which starts with pornography, goes to stripping, goes to prostitution, goes to trafficking. It's the payment to a person for a sex act. And this is an industry that is immense in its proportions. Again, it spans the globe. Estimates are that perhaps it generates $80 or $90 billion a year. In the US, the pornography industry is estimated to be $6 to $12 billion a year, larger than all three major sports leagues in terms of revenue. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about the commercial sex industry that is really shaping society, shaping media, shaping our attitudes and beliefs and behaviors.
The life of a porn star isn't as glamorous as the industry makes it out to be. Shelly's testimony paints a picture of intimidation and cruelty. She says actresses are bullied and even physically harmed while on set. And as Shelly found out, the physical risks can be life-altering.
They started putting me in scenes that were with harder sex, and I'd be like, no way, there's no way I'm doing that, and then you show up to this set and they tell you you're gonna do it, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. They're like, no, you will do it, you will not get paid, and you'll be blacklisted, and and I needed the money, and I was like, wow, and they're offering you drugs and alcohol to get through the scene. You gotta keep in mind, these movies are filmed in private locations, on a mostly male set. You're intimidated. I was like, geez, where's my advocate? You say no to something, they're like, you're not gonna say no. Whatever piece I had left in me in the sex industry died on the porn set.
At what point did you think, Shelly, that you needed to make a change?
I would have just kept going till I died. I didn't even care. But what happens, I got burned. After about 30 movies, I woke up one morning really sick, like a fever of 103. And I looked in the mirror and there was sores all over my mouth, in and out. I had no clue what it was. I thought, is this AIDS? Is this HIV? And then I went to the clinic, just some Indian doctor, and he checked me out all over and he goes, oh my gosh, you have a terrible case of herpes. I'm like, what's herpes? What do you mean herpes? What is that, And that's a non-curable disease. He tells me that I'll have it the rest of my life. I'm sitting there devastated going, what are you telling me? They told me I would be kept safe. So I was devastated. And I actually went home and took as many prescription pills as I could find to kill myself. I didn't care anymore.
You just wanted out. Huh?
I didn't care. And
what kept you from dying?
God, again and again, of course.